All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cliff's Notes, and we have a super rock star guest for you today, Piech, and he authored a book called How to Dominate Your Market and Become the Go-To Listing Agent, coming up next on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Happy pre-Friday right here on Cliff's Notes. We're coming at you live from Lincoln Center in the Galleria area in Dallas. And we have a special guest for you today. Let's go ahead and bring him in without any further ado. If you would, please. Thank you, Dr. Giles back there. Alex, welcome to the show today, man. I'm so stoked to have you here.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. And boy, we've got some value. It's going to drop value bombs all show here. I can tell you this young man has written a really great book, and we'll get into this in a little bit, just a few minutes. But I've got to check in with Trelvis. It's been a week since I've been here, and I want to make sure the wheels are still on the bus. Trelvis, how you doing, sir?
I'm great. How about yourself, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing really good, thank you. Do we need to do a traffic report today, or it looks pretty good out there? Before the show, Trelvis was doing his 104 traffic break for us.
Indeed.
And it was awesome, man. All right, so quick sports highlights. Anything you'd like to mention to the audience today?
The Mavericks are up 2-1 against the Clippers.
Yep.
They play tomorrow at 8:30.
Okay.
So if we take a 2-0 actually. If we take a 3-0 lead, then we pretty much have the series locked.
Ooh, it could be time to get the brooms out.
Could be, man.
Yeah, that'd be super. Okay, you going to any of the games?
I am not. I did see they were letting fans in. I'm not planning on going right now, but you never know what the future may hold.
Ooh, you never know. But if you got an extra ticket, we know where who can use one, right?
I can make it happen.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Okay, friends and neighbors, let's talk real estate, man. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. This crazy market that we're in right now. Alex has got some great tips on how to get your offers accepted and how to get listings in this market. Listings are pure gold right now. Yeah. And you wrote the book on it, literally, right?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to get right into it. But, I think what we need to do is really allow the audience to get close to you. And we often have celebrity real estate people on here, and they come with all the lights and glitter. But, what I like to do is sort of just kind of rewind the video a little bit and take the audience back, because you didn't get where you are today. This is not something that you just flipped a light switch on and all of a sudden you have all this success and everything, right?
Right, yeah, easy street.
Easy street, yeah. There's no easy button, right? There's none of that exists. So if you're out there in the audience contemplating a career in real estate, get your legal pad out. We're going to have some writer-downers, get a pen, and start to take some notes, Alex. So if you would, let's take it back a little bit. You're not from this part of Texas, right?
I'm not from Texas,
okay.
No, sir.
Yeah, so where did you grow up?
In a little town called Naugatuck, Connecticut.
And can you spell that for us?
No. Naugatuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
little bedroom town, maybe 28, 30,000 people. So quite different from where we are now, right in the heart of Dallas. So.
And so how big was your family? Were you did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, so I've got one brother. I'm the oldest. He's 5 years younger than myself. My mom and dad. So we were the only family that lived in Naugatuck. The rest of our family was about 30, 40 minutes away, a little bit bigger area of Danbury, that kind of borders the New York area.
Oh, okay. That's right. New York and Connecticut are real.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people work in the city and commute up to Connecticut.
Yeah, and when I tell people I'm from Connecticut, they think it's the nice part of Connecticut. They're like, oh, it's so beautiful. And really, when you start to look at the markets, and I didn't realize this until I got into real estate, is all of the wealth and all of the money are in the cities that hug New York, because people can work in New York and then bring that money and live. But if you're in the heart or the central parts of Connecticut, I mean, my average sales price at one point was maybe $150,000 in my town. Waterbury, Connecticut was under $100,000. So not necessarily the parts of Connecticut I think most people think of.
Okay, well, let's put that in perspective too, because we're not talking like last year. This was how many years ago? Because you've been in the business now for 20?
Almost 20 years.
Almost
I got
20
in
years.
in 2003.
Okay.
So getting close to 20 years, believe it or not. But yeah, I mean, at the peak of the market, 2004, 5, right before the unfortunate downside, I would say our average in my city of Naugatuck had probably crossed about $240,000.
Okay.
So that was
right.
like the high end that it had ever gotten to. And then, we all know what happened.
Well, that's
after
about
that.
where it was in Frisco back in 2003, 4, 5,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, the difference is growth, right? So now you look back in that community now, the average is probably 275.
Okay.
Right? So,
Yeah.
but it's a small bedroom community. At the time, I think 225 sales a year. Over
Oh, wow.
Over 145.
And is that where you started your real estate career?
Yeah. I didn't
Holy
know what
cow.
I didn't know.
Right.
So
Oh,
I
man.
started where I lived. I wasn't
Yeah.
smart enough to do a market analysis and figure out where I wanted to set up shop. But quickly you realize, 225 sales, 145 licensed realtors lived in that little town.
Oh my gosh.
So you were fighting for every
it's
deal.
about 1.5 sales per agent,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, it was slim pickings.
A lot of them were on food stamps, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, most of them worked other jobs. I think at one point when I started crunching the numbers, the average agent in my market was probably doing close to about 2.5 sales a year. That was it.
Okay.
And about 50% were doing 0 sales a year.
0. That's really funny. That's kind of true the way it is today still.
Yeah, I think those numbers pretty much
I think
cross all
NAR,
markets.
was it like half the licensees don't even do a transaction?
Yeah, I heard a stat that at the end of March, 40-something% of all of NAR's members still had not done a sale in real
Is
estate.
that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that pilots have a little more success than
Right.
real estate agents do, or doctors. You wouldn't want your kidney doctor to do the transplant if he hadn't done one recently, right?
Yeah,
You know?
the stats just came out. What did we just crossed 1.48 million NAR members?
I believe
and
so,
the
yeah.
average income went down.
Go figure,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the pie doesn't get any bigger.
No.
Right? So, when you add more eaters to the pie,
For sure.
then they eat less, so to speak. Interesting. Now, so you, at what age did you start kick into gear with real estate then?
19 turning 20. I got licensed at 20.
Wow. So this was like your first real type job, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've always hustled and always worked. The minute I could get a job, I was working. I have always historically had 2 or more jobs. Just like to hustle and like to stay busy. So I had been renovating and flipping houses with my dad. That's how I got introduced to real estate.
Oh.
He was a broker, but he didn't do it for the sales. We bought and flipped houses. That was his business. So I've been slinging sheetrock, swinging a hammer, since, probably 13, 14, 15. Like, that's just what we did. Go help dad. And, so that's kind of where I got introduced to housing. And he had started a little real estate team. He had 2 agents that joined us. And I was in college, not knowing what the heck I wanted to do, but I knew I wasn't enjoying my time in school, right, when I went. And one day we were on our way to a renovation house, and I said, I'm thinking about getting into real estate. I don't know what I want to do with school. I was working at Sports Authority. Remember Sports Authority?
Mm-hmm.
I was working there from 6 a.m. to 11, going to school full time and then selling real estate. And that's how I ended up getting into real estate. So
what did you study in college besides beer and girls?
I have a degree in financial management, so marketing.
Okay.
Marketing and business.
Great. Terrific. Well, that's probably a good, if you're going to get a degree to do residential sales, you really don't want a degree in real estate, because that's all about development and title and all that stuff.
Right.
You need a marketing degree, right?
Yeah, I think you learn a lot too, right? Because they're going to teach you the fundamentals of marketing, how you would do it at a big commercial company like Coca-Cola or something like that. They don't teach you the type of marketing you need to be successful in real estate, direct response. So as I got into real estate, I quickly realized, my dad didn't have a real estate brokerage where I could come and learn. So it wasn't like, here's how you do contracts, here's how you grow your business, here's how you market to your sphere. He wasn't doing any of that. So I said, all right, this is trial by error. I'm just going to do whatever. So, it was a lot of just research. It was looking at what successful people did, trying to do that. And that's not always fun either. They say just model what other people are doing. But if you don't truly know the secret sauce of what they're doing, sometimes you can model and not get the same results. So about my second year in real estate, I was getting ready to graduate college. And what differentiated me in real estate is I knew the market, because I studied it. Everything now we could pay a company $10 to send us a report on. I was creating the spreadsheet.
There really wasn't much of an internet.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking 2003. So I was downloading all the MLS. I was creating all my pie charts, graphs, understanding market absorption rates. And I could see the market was starting to shift a little bit come 2005-06. So we went and we got a franchise. I became the youngest owner of a RE/MAX franchise at 22 years old, RE/MAX New England at that time.
Wow, 22 years old?
I was looking for some direction, some coaching, some training, and that was their big thing. They used to stream the coaching into your office.
Oh,
so
wow, okay.
That's what I was after. I wanted to figure this out. I knew people were doing really successful in real estate, so I said, I'll make that investment. Luckily my first 2 years, I was able to do a decent amount of sales just simply off hustling, but it wasn't predictable, right? It was like, okay, I got a deal here by doing this, and you were just chasing. So I realized I didn't want to do that and kind of start my year at zero every year. I wanted systems and processes with some scalability and duplication. So that led me to a franchise. Knowing what I know now, not the right decision. But I sucked up every bit of training.
Back then?
I mean,
that was the answer, really.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I got coaching,
You weren't
training.
off the mark at all, yeah.
So it was the best investment I made because I learned and I got introduced to the most successful real estate agents on the planet, some of the best coaching and training. And I always tell people the one thing that makes me different is I will take the risk, I will spend the money, I will get the coaching. Right. Like, I don't want to be the one to figure it out.
Okay, rider downer. Okay, rider downer, Travis, right there.
Yeah.
Get the coaching, spend the money.
Well,
okay?
Or else it's trial by error and you're wasting money. I'd rather invest it into myself and learn something at the end. And not all of it paid off. There was crap that I bought that didn't work, you know?
Sure.
But you don't know until you've learned that. So that's really what catapulted me. And through those relationships and coaching and training, I started to build a little system. I started to put some things in marketing. And, through one of the coaching and training, that's where I heard of Dan Kennedy. So I bought every Dan Kennedy book on direct response marketing. The Guaranteed Home Sale was a Dan Kennedy thing back in the late 80s, early 90s. So, just diving in and learning, really, just.
Isn't it crazy? I still to this day don't understand why colleges haven't figured out that they really should have a sales degree, a degree in sales that's taught by some of these great people that we all study outside of college, right? Whether it's Dan Kennedy or Chet Holmes when he was alive, or it was
the first
Tom Hopkins,
first marketing book I ever read.
Chet Holmes,
The Ultimate Sales Machine.
Ultimate Sales Machine, great book, and that's like a Bible, question-based selling. There's hundreds, literally, of great reference materials that you never even see in a college library. I guess you might find them in a library, maybe, but what's a library, right? who spends time in the library? But still, and that's the thing with the real estate guys is you will expect that if you join a big brokerage that you're going to get all the tools and skill sets and knowledge that you need to be successful. And as we know, that's just not the case, right?
Yeah, I mean, they had everything, right? I could watch everything. But again, I'm trying to collapse time and be successful. I don't want to do the trial and error. Like, I really wanted to figure out what really works, but what was scalable. What could I take to any market and have success, right? For example, some people would teach you how to do, maybe for sale by owner. But if you weren't in an area that had a lot of for sale by owner, that's not the right class for you right now. You got to look for the opportunity in your market. So I got the general education, but it really wasn't until I made an investment that I couldn't afford, and that was one-on-one coaching. I could absolutely not afford it. I threw it on a credit card. My stomach was turning the whole flight home after the event when I signed up. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? But I went through, and that's where those bigger gains came in, is having somebody who'd already done it, looking into my business, and it's the shortcuts. It's don't do that. We're just as valuable as what to do.
Right.
So those were huge.
Now that's a great message audience, hope you're listening. Here's a young man who really had to put it on a credit card, didn't have the cash to put coaching on a credit card. We talked about Mike Reese's story a couple of weeks ago on the show, and it's not uncommon to hear this, but when you burn the boats and you don't give yourself a plan B, you find a way to succeed. And if you get the right coach, how long did it take you to get your business on fire after that?
Oh, that's a great question. So, and I think you nailed it. You got to find the right coach. So it wasn't my first coach that really took my business. It was my second coach.
Okay.
And it was getting somebody, because there's different levels of coaching, right? I can teach you off of a module, or I could be customized, like look at your business in your area. So, I've had a real estate coach who drove 3 hours into my market and mystery shopped my competition, who we laid out newspaper. So this is going back, right? Every newspaper ad, every magazine ad, and said, I go back to newspapers.
The Craig Proctor days, yes.
Yeah. So, and I did all of the Craig Proctor stuff. I went through Craig's training. But yeah, it wasn't until I got to that level to where I really got fine-tuned and understood marketing messages, direct response, lead capture, and then how to follow up and convert in what you say versus, just giving them what they want, right? How do you get more by adding value to the consumer so that they want to work with you?
Right. So now looking over your career, there had to be some highlights and some lowlights.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but tell us about some of those lowlights and what it took to get through those times.
Yeah, so obviously, having been in real estate since 2003, I went through the market of 2007, 8, 9. And in my little area, the one thing is when you're in one of those really tiny, small bedroom communities, they tend to get hit really hard. So, there was a townhouse we had sold for $145,000. 12 months later was selling for $25,000, $30,000. Most of our condominiums, townhouses lost FHA approvals, right? Because they had delinquencies. And so we saw huge drops. Houses that were selling for $300, selling for $110, $115.
Wow.
So
that's big drops.
Oh, it was huge. At one point, about 50% of all the homes on the MLS were some form of distress. So it was a tough market. And getting deals put together,
Okay, so now how long ago was that?
That was 2000 and probably 8,
so
9.
15, not quite 15 years ago?
Not quite. Their market is so
13.
far behind us. Their depressed market lasted 2007 to probably 2011, 2012.
Okay.
Before, they just started really rebounding.
Yeah. See, here's the thing, though. Think about how many new homeowners there are in the market to buy homes today who were too young to know what was going on.
Yeah.
And think that what goes up will never come down at this point. And
Right.
we're going to talk about a little bit more about that in just a minute.
Well, think about how many people never saw a 7% interest rate.
Oh my God, 7?
They think 4 is high.
They think, go back to the 80s, bro.
Yeah.
Man, it was 12, 14%. Builders were paying 2 points to get the rate bought down so that people could qualify for a loan. Yeah. It was insane, right?
Yeah. So what happened, things were really tough, and I had my RE/MAX franchise, and when the market's not hot and there's not a lot of sales, that franchise fee, that monthly fee starts to add up. So I would say the lowest point was, I was on my way out of the real estate game altogether. And I was going to go to Home Depot and get a job. And I had thought this thing through. I was going to go and work from 4 a.m. to 11. And then I was going to continue to try to sell real estate full time after that.
Wow.
And, I got offered the job, wasn't very hard. And I left the interview, sat in my car, and I said, if you accept this job, you'll never go back to real estate. Just because I had seen so many people try that. I was like, you'll just get a paycheck. And, to me, I was throwing all my dreams out the window.
Right.
Because at this point, I had some success. I bought the franchise. At 22, I had, good bank account. Things were looking up. And I knew I would throw all that away. I'm the type that I'm up all night and I'm thinking about buying investment properties and my next business move. I dream on a really big level. And I knew I'd be throwing all of that away had I taken that job. But that was a gut check, because I also knew if I didn't take that job, I didn't have much cash to keep the doors open. I was putting $3,500 a month into the office to keep the doors open for the other agents who weren't producing, and they had no clue. I mean, I just funded that thing for over a year out of savings.
That is crazy. You know, Tony Robbins would say it's in moments like these that your destiny is formed, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be here had I
is,
taken that job. I know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a crucial decision along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't until, you got to make the decision. The market's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think. But your actions are going to dictate your results, right? So instead of saying, oh, this market sucks, poor me, everything is a distress sale, I pivoted my business. Remember the CDPE designation, Alex Sharfin?
Sure, yeah.
I got my entire office certified on it. Again, I didn't have no money.
CDPE?
Yeah. So the certified distressed property expert.
That's it, yeah.
And I was already losing all my money, so I said, screw it, I'll pay for everybody to go get it. And we got an article written in our local newspaper, and that was a game changer because people started calling. You don't even realize how many people are having a tough time until you really realize. And we started getting phone calls, and we were able to do short sales, and one of the first in the market to understand how to do short sales. And that's what rode us through that wave long enough. It wasn't fun, it wasn't profitable, but we were able to sustain, and man, we came out the other end a lot stronger.
Right.
And that's the difference. In a good market like this, anybody can sell real estate. It's in the normal to bad markets where the best agents gain massive market shares.
Yeah.
And that's been my experience, and that's what happened to us.
And as a coach, I used to tell people during those markets, don't watch the metrics, don't watch how many homes a month you're selling. See how you're doing relative to your competition, because if you can gain market share during this time, when the market shifts, a rising tide raises all ships.
Yep.
And you're going to come out and continue to own that market share and come out way ahead when the market really starts to take off.
For sure.
But it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, and you got to take risks, right? So one of the things I said, okay, the percentage of short sales that were closing was pretty low because none of the banks had done it, and that's an attorney state.
That whole thing, listen, that was the biggest mess.
And nobody knew how to do it, right?
Yeah.
The banks didn't have departments set up. So what we quickly realized is we could do a lot of work and never get compensated. So we actually had to structure a model to where we were compensated something up front because of the time.
Yes.
And it was those upfront fees that kind of sustained us until they closed, because some of those closings were 4, 5, 6 months later.
Yes.
That you had been working the same file.
That's right. Yeah.
So, pivoting your model, but we did it because we were offering a value. We had a system to help these folks.
So I'm hearing Kaizen here, where in real estate, it's what we do, man. It's like continuous process improvement, and it changes with the market, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah. I mean, you can't be doing real estate the same way you were doing it 30 years ago. Times have changed.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
you got into the short sales, and by the way, we had Nicole Espinoza, a dear friend of ours, the short sale queen here in Dallas, and she did an incredible business back then. Is in 9 states now, and so forth. But we haven't seen the level of short sales yet. I'm going to kind of go down a little rabbit trail here real quick. There's about 2.3 million, at least is what we're told, homes that are in severe distress right now, which means that they're probably high LTV loans, FHA, VA, and they're severely behind on their payments. 2.3 million. That, and if those homes were to hit the market, it would rebalance the market ostensibly. I think that's about what the inventory, that much inventory would make a huge difference. What, in your experience in short sales, and you've been through it, I'm going to ask you to go out on a rope here a little bit and ask what you think is going to come of all that.
Yeah, and I've been asked that a whole bunch. And, again, just looking at the numbers, there are people who have taken advantage of forbearance. But if we look at the percentage of those that, we anticipate not getting caught up, you have to look at the equity they have in their home. And this is the difference, is nobody's going to let the bank take a home with $50,000 in equity. When that forbearance period is over and they need to either get caught up or work out a long-term structure plan or sell, they may opt to sell and put money in their pocket. So what you're not going to see, like we saw with short sales, where a home came on the market and then it was price reduced, all the way down to peanuts. We're not going to see that. These people have equity. There is more equity in homes right now than we've ever seen. I saw a stat that the average home with a mortgage had over 6 figures of equity built into it. Those people are not walking away. And I always tell people, if you're in real estate, keeping current matters is probably one of the best resources you can subscribe to for $20 or $25 a month.
Yeah.
Because they have all the data points on this, and it's important that you know it, because these are the conversations people want to have right now.
Yeah.
Or, because there's buyers that say, I'm going to wait. Well, you might be waiting for a long time, because here's the thing. It's not going to flood our market and be too much supply. If anything, it's going to right the supply of what we have. We're at 13 days right now in the Dallas market.
Right.
So we need listings.
Yes, absolutely.
We need it. Now, you don't want people to lose their home, and the good thing is I think most of those people are going to put cash in their pocket.
Yeah. The question is, will it hit their credit, and will they be able to buy after where are they going to move to? Because right now we're short rental properties.
Mm-hmm.
We're short. They don't want to get out of their houses. They don't want to leave their houses. So, maybe the government's going to work a deal back where they stack it on the back of the loan.
I would think, that's
like
the thing that makes most sense, right? Sometimes common sense is what lacks in government. But you would just think listen, they're in the home. If they've got their job, why not just restructure it and put it on the back end? If they're 6-8 months behind, add 8 months additional payments to the mortgage. So I think there will be something, right? I mean, if the problem is big enough, somebody will step in. We saw that with short sales and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
and we don't have a systemic problem with any of the segments of the real estate business. Mortgages, they've been good at their lending practices. Prices are holding up, things like that. But at the same time, I don't think the government wants to allow to happen this time what happened last time, which was a complete meltdown.
I think there's less risk in the type of mortgages that are offered. I mean, it was the wild west. If you had a pulse, you got a mortgage, And if you went in and said, I make $40,000 as a sales guy, they said, well, now we're just going to do non-stated and call you sales.
There was no hope of redemption of those loans at all.
That was so
There's
bad,
no
it was
way
terrible.
they could have been. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so-
Well, I didn't mean to get us off track, but
I feel pretty confident.
Yeah.
We're not going to see anything near what I think it's the doom and gloom, right? It's what sells.
Yeah.
And people like to kind of.
Well, I'm so optimistic. I wear sunglasses at night just in case the sun comes up or it's a full moon shining in the window, something like that. But at the same time, I realize that we can't sustain the levels of home price appreciation that we've had. And, the big ugly elephant in the room is inflation. And if we don't watch out, I mean, I've read some private studies that suggest that an inflation rate of 3.7, not inflation, but an interest rate of 3.7% could kick the markets that are now fairly valued over into overvalued. And we could have some real challenges getting people into mortgages to buy a house that they wanted. I mean, their purchasing power at this rate is reduced by about 10% for every point that rates go up. So, you've got a real challenge on your hands. But all right, well, so let's go back to some real estate tactics and tips and things that we can share with our audience here. This is a great book. I've read it, and I know a lot of what you use because you and I met, and I was a coach with NAEA. You came on board, started coaching there at NAEA, and really worked on helping people learn the processes and the strategies, the buyer presentation, the whole thing, listing and the whole bit. What prompted you or motivated you to write this book, Alex?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in 2016, we started a brand new brokerage from scratch here in Dallas. Michael Reese and myself, we literally left the NAEA building. We rented down at Brent Hicks's office, and we wanted to start a real estate brokerage using the coaching and training that we were basically giving to other agents or they were paying for throughout the country. So we wanted to take what we taught, implemented it, and see what we could do. In our first 12 months, we went from 0 to almost 300 transactions for about 2.3 million in gross commission income. So we knew what we taught people, the systems, the processes, listing presentation, buyer, we knew it worked. But what was the biggest barrier of entry was people used to have to pay us for that, right? For coaching.
Yeah.
So that becomes, you could have a hustler, somebody could be successful, but they can't write you a check for $1,500 a month. And honestly, you can't give it away for free because that's how you put food on your table. So we decided we would go partner with agents, bring them on as our business partner, split everything, but we would do everything for them. Leads, websites, inside sales, marketing, all they had to do was stay face-to-face with customers. And we promised we would get them 4 closings a month on the listing side of the business. So Michael and I, we had to dig in and figure out, okay, how do we go and attract listings, primarily, because that was the core promise that we made these agents. And what in the book, what I do is I kind of show people, here's the strategies. Here's, one of the strategies is identifying top turnover neighborhoods in your market.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So you got to know what the baseline is so you can know which ones turn over at a higher percentage.
Exactly. Yep.
Then you need to go prospect those people. So what do you say? So I had an inside sales center. We had 10 full-time ISAs making about 18,000 outbound dials a week. So I was able to work with them and really craft our messages and figure out how are we identifying the people who want to sell. And then once we identify them, what do we do to nurture them to create that relationship until they're ready? So that was our whole nurture process, which I talk about in the book. And I give all the scripts and everything for people to download. This wasn't like an upsell. I mean, everything is a free download. And we built out great systems and processes. And I think right now it's even more timely because I did a video the other day. It's like, if you have a listing, you have a winning lottery ticket because you're going to get a commission in less than 30 days or 30 days in most cases if you properly market it. I mean, that's how valuable listings are right now. Buyers, on the other hand, you might write 5, 6, 10 offers or more. There's no guarantee of an income in a certain amount of time because there's things outside of your control. Some crazy buyer might offer $150,000 over asking price.
Oh, it's happening every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
It's heart-wrenching, actually. They're overspending on things, and we know it can't sustain, but so listings are key. Absolutely.
Listings are huge. So we wanted to teach people, how do you identify, and if you could identify early before they started interviewing, because they might not know who you were. So unless you had a big, huge marketing budget for lead generation, you may never get that opportunity for a listing appointment.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you could identify somebody who's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months before they list, they might not talk to anybody else but you if you nurture that relationship the right way. So that's the systems we really, dialed in on. And the reason we had to go that route, we were spending so much money on Facebook and Google in certain markets, they couldn't spend our monthly budget.
Right.
They couldn't provide enough leads to our agents.
Sure.
So we had to be really creative in how do we find these opportunities if you just can't spend your way to it.
Right.
So it was a fun ride, and I shared, the best scripts, the best lead sources, how we nurtured them, what that nurture process looked like, and it was fun, and I just wanted to share it because getting into real estate, I had to learn everything, and I had to pay for everything, and some things worked, some things didn't. So how do I just boil down the stuff that actually worked?
Right.
And just give it away, and that was really my goal behind it.
And that's here. This you get access to all of that with this book. And I think, did you have a deal for our audience where, and this is, I know it's not that expensive on Amazon, but you had something I think you said earlier where for shipping they could get a copy of it? Or?
Yeah, if they just want to pay for shipping, I'll send you the book for free. You can go to GoTo Listing Agent Book or alexpiachbook.com. Either one will lead you. You get your copy for free. I'll put it in the mail to you. Just pay for shipping. And you get all the downloads, all the bonuses. We'll email all that stuff out to you. There's actually a couple of bonuses when you get there too, just some Facebook training courses that I've done for lead generation. Obviously things that we weren't doing a couple of years ago when we put the book together that we are definitely doing now. So.
Yeah. And Facebook really has become a bigger and bigger part of the lead generation business that we all are in.
As consumer behavior changes, right? Less people watch TV, less people listen to the radio. So what becomes your TV and your radio? Well, everybody's glued to their phone. They're glued to Facebook, right? I think there's 2.5 billion users. The average user is on for almost 2 hours a day. So if you know where the consumers are, now you got to put your message there. And the good thing is on these platforms now like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you can do it for pennies a person.
That's right.
Where a TV ad might cost you, 10, 15 grand a month.
Yeah.
Radio could cost you 10, 15 grand a month. And you were spread everywhere, wherever the market was.
No way to target.
Yeah. Now you could target by all sorts of things, where they live within a radius, what their interests are. I mean, it's pretty powerful if you know how to use it.
Yeah. And it's not, it's not quite as easy as we make it sound. I mean, like just recently Facebook changed all their algorithms again and the ad manager and stuff. And there's always something the government's saying, you have to be careful because you're discriminating against
yep.
certain groups and things like that. But for the most part, there's still a great ROI, and it's worth learning how to do
if
that.
You said the right word, ROI. If you understand your numbers in real estate, you can't go broke in Facebook because it's so inexpensive. You know, I have agents who run $200 in leads, and if they don't get a sale, they freak out. But yet their average commission is $10,000. So I'm like, well, would you spend $1,000 to make 10? They're like, yeah. I was like, well, you only spent $200. Like, you got another 800 to go before, you know, to know their KPIs and their numbers. So you have to understand your marketing media, what your cash conversion is, you know, what your average cost. You got to know those things, and it's hard when you get started. So in the beginning, you do take a little bit of a wild guess. You got to put some metrics in place. Did you hit them? You know, you got to you got to run it like a business. You know, you got to know that
But
stuff.
the main thing is you want to have somebody looking over your shoulder along the way to mentor you and to help you out, right?
I paid for a Facebook course when I learned Facebook.
Yeah.
Since then, I've worked with Frank Kern, Billy Gina's marketing. You know, I paid Frank $10,000, Billy Gina's marketing $10,000 because I knew the basics. But if I really wanted to understand the power of the tool, I wanted to go to an expert who had spent millions a month,
right,
and learn the shortcuts.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
You don't do that stuff trial and error, you know, because then it won't work, and you won't know your numbers. You do have to know how to do it, but like once you've done it and you understand it, it's pretty
well.
Pretty
and you bring up a really good point. Another rider downer here is that you're gonna gravitate to the level of the people that you hang around with the most. So if you're hanging around with the squirrels and the owls that stay up all night and stuff like that, that's what you're going to be when you grow up. But if you start associating with people who are making the kind of money and doing the things that you want to do, you're going to naturally start to pick up on them. And if you folks are open-minded out there, this would be a good opportunity for you to reach out to Alex or to me. Or by the way, what is a good way to get in touch with you, Alex? You said alexpiech.com, and let's spell that last name because you told me it was from South Texas, right? Piech.
Yeah. P-I-E, like pie, C-H at the end. Yeah, it's a tough one. That's why none of my real estate brand was ever the Alex Piech team, because I knew it would get screwed up with spelling. But yeah, I mean, Facebook is the easiest way to get a hold of me. Instagram, it's all Alex Piech. Pretty much all over social media. So,
well, I forgive me for calling you Piech for all those years.
Oh, that was nice from what I've heard.
I couldn't get anybody. I don't even think Mike Reese knew how to.
I probably doesn't know till today.
Correctly.
Yeah.
But anyway, Alex, it sure is great to have you here. I'm super. I've been chewing my arm off wanting to get you on the show because you and I go back a long way with the guys, and now we're partnered up in business here. And I guess just real quick, I want to transition. We just have a couple minutes left, but I want to ask you, because you said earlier you had kind of an unsustainable model, which was to charge people up front for coaching, and then you looked at the partnership model, and it was not as easy to execute as it might have been on paper. But what happened within the last couple of years? What did you find? What other model did you find that really provided the best leverage for you to execute all these great ideas you have in your book?
So the partner idea is what really I loved, because I truly wanted to be in business with somebody so they knew they got everything I had to offer. But the problem was the upfront cost. The brokerage we started, many people don't know this, but the agents that joined us, they had to write us a check up front for $10,000.
Well, that'll weed out a
lot of people.
A lot of them, yeah.
But we had to hire ISAs, your signs, like that $10,000 was a fraction of what we put into their business, but it did weed people out. And the biggest challenge we had is when we went to other markets. We had to get in MLSs, we had to get brokerages, we had to get brick and mortar. We had to do all these things. And we were going to Houston and we were going to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And Mike and I were on flights. It felt like all the time trying to work out all the kinks. It was hard. So it was like, how can we give our systems and processes without having to physically be there or open a brokerage and all that stuff, which was expensive. I mean, our legal fees some months were ridiculous. Every time we got on the phone with the attorney, it was $1,000,
you know? Yeah,
and that was to make hey, we need one word change in the contract. Oh, here's a $1,500 bill.
Right.
So in 2017, in November, we found EXP. And we looked at it, and we had said no for a long time because we were so into our partner model. And then finally we said,
you guys were closed-minded because you figured you had the Holy Grail.
we had the coaching, the training,
Had the
the
whole
structure,
thing. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we thought we had it.
Right.
Then we realized we had the bolt on, but we had no platform to put our materials onto.
Got it.
We would have had to go create a brick and mortar license, everything. And we just did the math and said, this is a 20-year project. We found a company that had all of that to where we could partner with anybody in any market and then just give them our stuff and be in perfect alignment with their success, but also give them the tools that they could then offer to their friends, their family, their people who they introduce to the business. And it's really just allowed us to reach thousands of agents. And we know real estate has a really high failure rate.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
people,
Huge.
yeah, people get here and they're like, now what do I do?
Right.
And we gave them the system. Here's what you do, start to finish. Here's your listing presentation, your buyer presentation, your script book, your lead sources, your web, done. We took all the guesswork out, and then you get all of our coaching and training, and you don't have to pay us for it anymore.
Right.
So it was a true actual partnership, which is what excited us, and that's where we've been, and enjoying it every single day.
Yeah.
But we were closed-minded for a long time.
Yeah. No. That's great. And you guys came on board. I don't remember exactly how many agents we had, but
We crossed 5,000 the day
5,000.
it was
That's
announced
right.
at the event. When
That's
we were
right.
there.
Was that around the time we got uplisted to was that in 18?
We got uplisted in 18, so we were there in 17 at the awards gala.
That's right.
And that's when the big announcement was we just crossed 5,000 and we 10x that,
Gosh,
11x
great
that now.
memories, man.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful how everything has come full circle. We all throughout the years, we're together, went off and did our own things, and now being back together and really, centered around this great group of talent and people that we have on board is just, it's crazy. I still have to take a knee and pinch myself every morning just to make sure I'm not dreaming.
It is incredible
Yeah.
because, we all go our own ways because we're looking for opportunities and different ways to grow and to find one platform.
Oh, built for entrepreneurs,
Right.
by entrepreneurs.
I mean, no matter
if
what
you're an
you wanna do.
entrepreneur out there,
Yeah.
hello. I hope you heard that, right? But anyway, that's terrific, Alex. Well, man, I can't wait to see what you've got in store the next couple of years. And you're the proud father of two boys. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
no.
My son Nash just turned 3 last week.
Yes.
My daughter Noah will be 1 in like 2 weeks.
That's right. Your daughter was the last one born.
Yeah, quarantine.
Yeah.
We've been stuck home and
Oh my gosh.
with 2 kids and work
Yeah.
from home. My wife has worked from home, so it's been quite.
But at
an
the same
adventure.
time, you've still been crushing the real estate business and.
Yeah, I got really back involved this year in actually selling real estate, which has been huge for my partners because I'm not only just training you and coaching you, I'm giving you, hey, guys, I just ran this ad. Go implement this. Here's the swipe file. Do it. And I'm doing it. And I can speak to them about the market because I'm in the market.
Exactly.
Which has been a huge blessing. So I'm excited to do that. And real estate's been good. But as we were saying before we kicked off the show, I'm home for dinner. I'm giving one of the kids a bath every single night. I tuck one of them into bed every single night.
Listen to this, guys.
So I built a business the way if you look at the bottom of the book, right, Insider Secrets on how to build a predictable real estate business and enjoy it. That was my thing. I'm not going to trade selling 100 houses to not see my kids. So, I drop my son off at school. I pick him up. I give him baths at night. Feed him.
Love it. That's awesome.
And that's what ultimately is more important, right? That's the legacy.
Yeah, man, you've got a great heart and a lot to share. I'm so excited to finally get you here. And
it was a blast.
I hope our audience enjoyed this as much as I did because it's great to hear you talk about things. And I can't wait to see what you've got in store for us.
Absolutely.
Will you come back in 6 months or so and give us an update?
Because we got some big things coming. So, absolutely.
All right, folks. Trelvis, hey, I think that's a wrap, my friend.
I think so.
Are you still back there? Oh, I think he's gone off to the next show. Is he back there? I think we ran over a little bit. I apologize. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for being here today. Reach out to Alex. It's Piech, Piech.com, alexpiech.com. And just give us a little love out there on social media if you enjoyed the show today. We sure enjoyed having you. And don't forget, we'll be right back here again next Thursday on Cliff's Notes. All right, folks, tune in to Cliff's Notes every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central for the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it!